Well, hello. I'm Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I put a Q&A, a call for Q&A, call for questions out to the people on my email list last Friday to see if they had any questions they would like me to answer, anything at all to do with pain and inflammation. So if you are seeing me for the first time, I'm Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer, and I actually worked as a real engineer for 30 years before rheumatoid arthritis came into my life in 2016. And I got myself on a path to figure out, I put my engineering problem solving skills to work, and I figured out how to reverse the pain and inflammation. Took me a long time because I didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning, but I eventually figured out how to reverse the pain and inflammation, and I still have to work at it. But overall, I have no pain. I never took any medications. In fact, I don't take any medications. And I reversed it all. And now I help other people reverse pain as well. So I have some questions today from some of my audience about how to reduce pain and inflammation. So if you would like to get on my email list and have the opportunity to ask questions, then you can just go to janehoganhealth.com/subscribe, and you can put you'll get my Friday Thrive email I put out every week. If you want, you can get the link to my podcast, and you can get that delivered right to your inbox. And also whatever else is coming up, but you will also have the opportunity to put in these questions and join me in a private Zoom as well. For this one, I'm answering the questions publicly. So here we go. I'm going to go with the questions and answer the questions. The first question I had was, I am having surgery, hip replacement, on March 17th. What tips do you have for soothing the post-surgery inflammation? Thanks. Okay, so it's normal after surgery, of course, to have inflammation. Inflammation is actually not a bad thing when it's acute inflammation, when it's happening for a reason. If we fall down and we bruise a bone and we get inflammation around it, like that's a good thing because that inflammation is there to protect us, to help us heal. Same with after surgery. There's inflammation that's necessary. It's a part of the healing process. What I help people with is more like the chronic inflammation that, well, why it's sticking around. We don't know why it's sticking around, and we want it to be gone, but it doesn't go away. So that's the kind of stuff I normally help people with. But I will talk about this recovering from surgery, because helping your body heal is helping your body heal no matter what, right? So in terms of helping the body heal post-surgery, I would apply all the things that I always teach, and that is make sure you're well hydrated. So you should be getting enough water every day. How much is enough? They say half your body weight in pounds as ounces every day. And maybe post-surgery, you might even need a little bit more. So that's the eating, the hydrating. You want to eat well, so don't eat inflammatory foods. Eat foods that are going to help you heal, making sure that you're getting the nutrients that you need. Because when our body's in healing mode, like it's really focusing all its energy on healing. And it does take energy to heal, right? So you want to be eating foods that are giving you energy. So let's just start with the basics. The foods that you want to avoid are the energy suckers, the ones that are toxic for our body. Dealing with those toxins takes a lot of energy. So gluten to start with. Some people may say all grains, but gluten-containing grains, especially dairy, sugar, processed food, soy products, corn products, and the bad fats. So the fats that cause inflammation. So it's just easier to say the three most common ones that are good fats, and that is olive oil. So get an organic extra virgin olive oil, organic avocado oil. That's really the best one for frying in because you can use it at high temperatures. Whereas Olive oil tends to oxidize at higher temperatures, so you don't want that. You can use it for like dressings or just tossing for roasting, that kind of thing. And then coconut oil is another, so obviously an organic coconut oil. So that's what I would say is the main food. So you want to avoid the foods that are going to be causing inflammation so that your body has all the energy it has to heal. And then as soon as it's recommended, and I think it's pretty as soon as you can post-op, is to start moving, right? Get up and move around because our bodies are meant to move. Our lymphatic system, which helps take away toxins, doesn't have a pump. It needs us to move around. So movement is so important. Resting, of course, you're kind of going to be forced to rest when you're post-op, but don't push it. Like, it does take energy for our body to heal. And so resting is so important, and keeping stress low. And I mean, let's just talk about what stress is. Stress is it's how you perceive things. It's not the actual events. It's how you perceive them. So perceiving things, not getting caught up in stories about things, or worrying, like ruminating over the past or worrying about the future. These are the kinds of things, again, you want to keep the stress low so that your body can get into the parasympathetic state. So we've got those two states of our nervous system, right? The parasympathetic, which should be our normal state, the rest, digest, rejuvenate, repair, normal operating state. The other state, the sympathetic state, is the fight, flight, fear state. That should only be when we are supposed to be like running for our lives or fighting for our lives. The problem is that many of us are in that state most of the time, and so we can't repair. You can't repair when your body's trying to survive, when your body thinks it's got to survive, right? Everything is going to survival. You want to be in that relaxed, repair, parasympathetic state. So those are the key things I would say to you. They're the things I would say all the time, but especially post-op. So maybe going into the surgery, like, be prepared with having maybe some guided meditations and visualizations so that you're not stressed going in. And then when you're coming out, feeling stressed, feeling relaxed, try to um, try to think of this whole thing as being, imagining the repair happening, imagine your body healing. And there's a whole tons of studies about how when we imagine and visualize things in our brain first, they actually do happen, right? It's scientifically proven. There's no doubt about it. So try some of those things. Think about your body healing. Imagine yourself where you want to be, healing quickly. See the whole surgery as a gift to you. A gift. Aren't we lucky to live in a society where that surgery is an option for you? So all of those things, just feel good around all of it. Okay. So I hope that helps with that question. All righty. Second question. Hi, Jane. Thank you for this opportunity. My questions are actually about your journey to recovery, if okay to ask the following, as it would help me a lot in my healing journey. From your onset of inflammation, how long did it take to settle your immune system down? Do you still have stiffness and pain in those joints that initially were inflamed? Were you ever recommended by a functional medicine practitioner, naturopath, to start taking naltrexone? Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to take those one by one. So how long did it take my immune system to settle down? Oh, this is doing something funny here. Okay. How long did it take my immune system to settle down? Just let me exit out of this because I don't really need this here right now. There we go. Okay. My immune system to settle down. It took a long time, I will tell you, because I was doing little pieces of the puzzle along the way. I wasn't kind of doing all of it at once. Like, I first heard about food, so then I started, okay, all right, I heard that gluten, dairy, and sugar were a problem, so I cut them out. But I really didn't have a good handle on everything that I was doing. I was eating a ton of fruit, which is all, like, it's still, I thought fruit was good, right? And fruit, it's good, but it's still sweet. So I swapped out my gluten-y kind of breakfast for eating a ton of fruit. And that was really not very good. So I don't think it took a while, but that doesn't mean that has to take you a while because it got a more simplified and streamlined system. So that what I talked about before, uh, in terms of the surgery, those things. So getting enough hydration, switching to anti-inflammatory, at least cut out those foods to begin with. And you can go further than that, depends on where you are, but I wouldn't recommend like diving right in if you're still eating processed food for supper most nights, that kind of thing. So start where you are and do a little bit every day. Um, Getting movement every day, making sure that you rest, accept that you need to rest. You need to rest your body. This is a call from your body to pay attention. And so it's asking you to pay attention. So take the time to honor it and ask, find out what's your body trying to tell you, or what's your life like, what's your body trying to tell you about your life and your thoughts and all these things. Another thing, it took me a long time to realize how much I knew about mindset. I knew like having a positive mindset and having a good vision and and I really did. I had a vision about where I wanted to be, and I could see myself healing, and that's really important. But I think it took me another year really to really tune into the whole how important how I felt about myself throughout my whole life was part of this as well. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of pieces. And if I told you everything at once, it probably sounds pretty overwhelming. So just start and just say, I know, first of all, have hope that you can heal. And, um, and then trust in the process, and try to keep your thoughts as positive as possible, like not stress about it. I was maybe 2-3 years into it, still realizing that I was still really stressed about the illness. Like I was feeling like I'm in a race against time. I've got to figure this out. I got to figure this out soon. That I had those feelings. Now, was that creating the healing state of my body? No, it wasn't, right? So trying to keep calm and trusting and loving and not creating that stress. Every time we have a stressful thought, I had Dr. Keisha Ewers on last week, so maybe you were watching that. And she talked about, I think it was like having 5 minutes of stress creates enough cortisol, takes hours, like 10 hours or something to calm down. So every time we have a stressful thought, it's like, we got to calm it down again. So that awareness of what am I thinking? Am I thinking a thought that's leaning me towards healing? Or am I thinking a thought that's leaning me towards illness? And same with food, like everything that you do. Is what's on the end of my fork leaning me towards healing? Or is it leaning me towards illness? Because it's going to be one way or the other. Is this relationship? Is this friendship? Or this activity that I've committed myself to, is this leaning me towards healing, or is it leaning me towards illness? So you have these answers within you. So listen to your voice and your guidance, okay? All right. So do you still have stiffness, pain in those joints that were initially inflamed? I would say a little bit in a couple. Okay. I had inflammation all over my body. I could hardly walk on my feet. My knees were completely swollen. My shoulders hurt. My elbows hurt. My jaw hurt. Pretty much all the joints in my hand and my wrists hurt. And now it's very little. Okay. So I would say almost all of it is gone. And there are times when I would say gone, but I still have to watch what I'm thinking. I'm still overcoming a lifetime of thinking a certain way that I have to be mindful of and pay attention to. And perhaps I still have some limiting beliefs that I need to deal with. Okay. So, I would say generally I'm pretty darn good, and I don't take anything for pain. I would say pain is no, I don't have pain. Were you ever recommended by a functional medicine practitioner or naturopath to start taking naltrexone? No. Well, I wouldn't say that. Um, Naltrexone. I think my naturopath did mention naltrexone, but she was in Ottawa, I was in Newfoundland, and unless I went to Ottawa, I couldn't get the prescription, and I couldn't get a prescription in Newfoundland. Um, and I didn't really research it very much, to be honest. I was still at that point very committed to going completely natural, and so that was my personal choice. And I know naltrexone, the low dose naltrexone is supposed to be quite good, and it works completely differently than the high doses. Um, it's kind of like, I think it does a little trick thing going on in your brain. So I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's good for treating SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, too, which is something that I had. So but I didn't have access to it, so I had to treat it another way, and I did treat it another way. So it's an option. I would certainly look into it, but I don't really advise people on any medications at all. So I'd say this is something you would need to talk to your naturopath about to see if it's something that you wanted to do. And of course, do the research. Do the research. Okay. All righty. So moving on to the next question. I know the shoulders are a sensitive area for a lot of people because of stress. Seems like my shoulders ache so much these days, so I'm wondering if it's just stress or something else. What would you recommend to check to feel better? Could it be food related also? I wonder if it's inflammation also. I'm thinking physiotherapy would help, but I want to get at the root of the problem, since some days I can feel it all the way down to the tip of my fingers. Um, you know, yes, shoulders are sensitive, and actually the shoulders were the first place that I felt the RA, and actually it had been I had rotator cuff problems years before this, but this when the RA like really hit it, when I was super stressed, it was like I had to put my arm in a sling. Okay, and then the next day I had to do the other arm because it was the other shoulder. Yes, shoulders are a sensitive area for people with stress. It's seen so. Let me see your question. Is it stress or something else? A good thing to do, you're wondering, is it food? Is it stress? A really good thing to do is keep a journal. So I have something that I use with my clients called the Food, Mood, Poop, and Pain Journal. You can certainly just make up your own. Just start to track, what are you eating, right? How's your digestion? Because digestion is such an indicator of health. Like, look at it all together. How are you feeling? What's your mood? And then pain. Like, where do you have pain? And start to see if you can track things. Okay. So maybe you might notice when you're especially stressful, your shoulder starts to flare up. What does that mean? Well, if you take the view, and I believe it's true that we are an energetic being. Science tells us that everything is energy. We are made of energy, and anytime we're not feeling well, it's a sign that energy isn't flowing. So going like right back to my illness as well, like it was energy not flowing. I had to figure out what are the blockages in that energy. Now, of course, food is energy, right? Everything we eat is energy. People around us are energy. Movement helps with energy. Sleep is energy, like helps us with energy. So everything does come back to being related to energy, and stress is a form of energy. So when you start looking at the combination of all these things, so what are the foods that you're eating? Are they foods that are, you know, giving you energy? Are they foods that are leaning you towards health or leaning you away from health? And look at your mood. How is your mood changing as a result of that. What stressors do you have? Maybe you have an argument. I've got a friend. She says every time her and her husband have an argument, she gets a pain in her shoulder. So I think you're right about, I know you're right about the stress being related. So you may be having pain related to the stress. It could be related to food, but honestly, I think like food is sort of almost secondary. If you are feeling good in your body, then your body can deal with a lot of the other things that are going on, right? That's why some people can eat like the crappiest diet, but they're still healthy. They probably feel good, right? They're probably feeling good. They're not carrying around stressful thoughts all the time. And then someone who's healthy, this is what I felt like. I ate really well, I exercised, all this stuff. But my thoughts that I was having in my head about myself for my whole life were toxic. And so I was creating a toxic environment that was hard for my body to deal with any other stress. And so when I had this other stress, it was just like the tipping point. It's like, whew, no more, done. Can't handle anymore. So track some of these things and see for yourself. No one knows your body better than you do. And you just need to have awareness. But if you're relying on memory, that makes it kind of tough. So keeping a journal and tracking things, I tell you, it's such an eye opener, such an eye opener. Okay. And the other thing I would say too, I teach a lot about breath work, right? Because breath, if we can use the breath to get energy flowing, the breath and our imagination to get energy flowing in our body. So I've done other videos about how to deal with pain when you got pain in specific areas, and breathing using the breath and your imagination to breathe through the area to energize the area so that you can help lower pain. And it does. I hear time and time again when people try this, I go, wow, I had a little bit more pain. I had more pain before, and I've done this and done this breathing, and it's down a little bit now. So it really, really does work. So you may want to go to my YouTube channel or yeah, go to my YouTube channel is probably the best thing, and look at some of my videos. I've got some there. I think one is called Breathing for Pain Relief. So you might want to have a look at that one. So that's the questions for today. I did get a question live, but I'm going to defer that and say, ask that question for my next live, and my next Q&A session, and I will answer it then. I want to really encourage people to send me the questions in ahead of time, because this one about taking hormones after menopause and tanked adrenals, it's not exactly my wheelhouse, so I don't have the answers right off the top of my head for that one. So I would have to do a little bit of research, or maybe even suggest that you go to someone who's a specialist in those particular areas. I don't deal with hormones, in terms that I talk about energy, I talk about food, talk about gut health, and those kinds of things. But I do know some people who are experts in women's health. I've had several ladies on the podcast, like I can recommend Dr. Anna Kabecka. She helps with especially women's health. Who else? Dr. Keisha Ewers. She specializes more in autoimmune and women's health, but those are two wonderful ladies you can check out. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's why I don't like to answer these right off the top of my head. Can't think off the top of my head who else I've had on specifically dealing with menopausal women's health. But check out Dr. Anna Kabecka. She's really lovely, and she deals with women's health issues. Okay, so thanks for watching, and thanks for joining in. And I just wanted to share, actually, I got that link there for you if you want to get on my email list so that you have the opportunity to ask the questions ahead of time. Then you can sign up, janehoganhealth.com/subscribe. And you'll be part of my family, and you'll know all the great things that I'm doing, things that I share. This is my passion and purpose. I could be happily retired now, but I really just feel like my journey back to health is a journey that I need to share to give other people hope. And um, I hope that gives you hope. And I'd love to have you as part of my world. Okay, let me see. Go back and see if there's any more comments. The other thing I would say, I just want to come back to what Aries asked. Myrna. Oh, thank you, Myrna. I just wanted to come right back to what Aries said as well. I mean, for me personally, I feel like women got through. Human beings have been on the planet for, depending on who you talk to, thousands and thousands of years. We did not have bioidentical hormones, way back when. I know that we live longer now, so that's something to come into play. I haven't felt the need to take any of those. I will say that I used to have a lot of hot flashes. They're gone now. So whether that's because I, grew out of them, or whether it's because I've my body is operating better now because I am not in stress, right? The adrenals wear out because of stress. And so if you can get your body operating without stress, the adrenals will work properly. The endocrine system will work properly. So things will operate and come into harmony. So that's more what I'm about, is kind of creating peace in your mind, creating peace with food, peaceful relationships, peace in your body, peaceful movement, must be why I like yoga, and peaceful breathing, all of these things, peaceful sleep, all of these things to create peace so that all of our systems function well. And then when we are functioning well, we can heal. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for watching, being part of this, and I will see you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.